What if the familiar sound of rain in the mountains isn't just a whim of the weather, but the muffled voices of those who ruled these lands thousands of years before the first cities appeared? Imagine, you stand on a peak shrouded in thick fog and realize that every clap of thunder here was once considered the direct speech of the gods. The ancient ridges of the Appalachians are literally steeped in the memory of a time when a flash of lightning was not a natural phenomenon, but a crucial message from the great ancestors, capable of changing the fate of an entire people. The life of the legendary Cherokee people was inextricably woven into the rhythms of these dense, mysterious forests. For them, nature was not a backdrop, it was a living organism with which one had to know how to negotiate. In this issue, we will accomplish the impossible. We will travel back centuries and immerse ourselves in the atmosphere of a single misty night spent in a traditional dwelling to the deafening accompaniment of the heavenly elements. In a world where we've grown accustomed to hiding from the elements behind plastic windows, this experience may seem daunting, but it is precisely what allows modern people to finally touch true ancient wisdom and feel that very lost connection with the planet. What did people feel when the sky above their heads literally split in two? How did they find harmony where we see only chaos? Watch this video to the end, and you'll learn why an ordinary thunderstorm became a sacred lesson in courage for Native Americans, and how they found deep inner peace at the very epicenter of the storm. We'll reveal the secret rituals that help them turn fear into strength. Are you ready to hear what the rain is really whispering? Then let's begin. The secret, passed down from generation to generation, lies in the ability to see a thunderstorm not as a threat, but as a long-awaited guest. The traditional Cherokee dwelling in the Appalachian forests was a perfect engineering feat of its time. A frame of flexible young hickory poles securely held layers of bark and dense mats of reeds. The interior was designed to retain heat even on the dampest and coolest nights. Every element of the structure had a practical purpose and deep symbolic meaning for its inhabitants. A smoke vent in the center of the roof allowed air to circulate, creating the necessary coziness and comfort. Subscribe to the channel to continue this fascinating journey into the history of the indigenous peoples of North America. I'd love to hear your perspective. What do you think about the durability of such forest structures? Please share your thoughts in the comments. The walls of the dwelling were thick enough to muffle the furious roar of the wind coming down from the mountain peaks. The scent of damp bark and fresh earth seeped inside, mingling with the aroma of dried herbs and pine needles. In moments like these, the house seemed like a living being, protecting its inhabitants from the outside turmoil. Inside, a dim light reigned, illuminated only by the faint glows of embers in a small hearth. The floor, lined with soft pine branches and fir, gave a sense of security and closeness to the earth itself. Every detail of the interior reminded one of the close connection between humans and the forest ecosystem of the mountainous region. The first raindrops began to patter on the bark roof, creating a rhythmic sound reminiscent of a distant drumbeat. This sound was not frightening, but rather soothing, lulling the inhabitants of the house into a state of peaceful contemplation. Through small cracks in the doorway, one could see the forest gradually disappearing behind a thick veil of fog. A cool breeze drifted inside, carrying with it the sense of ozone and wet forest floor. Inside the dwelling, it became even cozier against the backdrop of the raging elements and torrential rain outside. All the worries of the past day faded into the background, giving way to the grandeur of the present moment. Building materials were gathered at specific times of the year to ensure maximum strength and flexibility. The bark of linden or elm trees was carefully stripped so as not to damage the tree itself and to allow it to regenerate. After drying, it became as hard as stone, yet retained the ability to breathe and allow air to pass through. Reed mats were woven during long winter evenings, creating an extra layer of insulation against the cold and moisture. Every knot in the framework was tied with particular care, ensuring the house's stability during strong gusts of wind. Such craftsmanship allowed the Cherokee to feel safe in the very heart of the wilderness. The interior of the forest home was simple and functional, containing nothing superfluous or distracting. Low sleeping platforms were arranged along the walls, providing protection from drafts and moisture rising from the floor. Food storage areas were located in the driest spots, protected from potential leaks and forest creatures. The hearth occupied a central place, serving not only as a source of heat, but also as the spiritual center of the dwelling. On a stormy night, the family's entire life revolved around this small fire, which provided light and hope. The silence inside the house was broken only by the crackling of logs and the steady patter of rain on the roof. Perception of space in the dark changes significantly, forcing one to pay attention to smells and tactile sensations. The softness of fur and the stiffness of reed mats created a varied texture of the surrounding world inside the house. The walls seemed closer and the dome of the roof higher, creating a sense of security and comfort. The sounds of the rain grew increasingly varied, ranging from a soft rustle to the heavy thud of large raindrops. The humidity inside remained moderate, thanks to a well-designed ventilation and heating system. All of this made spending the night during a storm a unique experience that strengthened a person's connection to their home. The completion of preparations for the night symbolized the transition from active activity to a state of complete rest. The family settled into their places, covering themselves with warm blankets made of wool and tanned hides. The last sparks in the hearth slowly died out, leaving only the soft glow of red embers in the darkness. Thoughts grew calm and clear, freed from daily worries and petty troubles. Nature continued its majestic dance outside, but inside the house, peace and complete understanding reigned. Everyone understood that this night would become an important part of their shared history and personal experience. Are you ready to learn the truth about why the Cherokee never covered their ears during the loudest claps of thunder? To this people, thunder was not a random noise, but was considered the direct speech of powerful beings dwelling in the heavens. These beings, called Ani Huntikwalaski, were seen as protectors and teachers who brought order to the chaos of the world. Every clap of thunder carried a specific meaning that the elders could interpret for the rest. Flashes of lightning were considered their weapons against the dark forces attempting to disrupt the harmony of forest life. Listening to the thunder meant showing respect for those who ruled the heavenly waters and winds. Do you think mythology helps people cope with their fear of natural disasters? In the next chapter, you will learn how ancient hunters kept the fire alive when the sky literally turned into an ocean. Flashes of light momentarily transformed the dense forest into a bizarre jumble of black silhouettes and silvery branches. At such moments, the shadows seemed alive, leaping across the walls of the dwelling and vanishing into the darkness of the corners. This visual accompaniment to the storm created the sensation that something great and incomprehensible was right beside the person. The Cherokee believed that lightning cleansed the air of evil thoughts and stagnant energy, bringing clarity of mind. After each bright flash, a second of absolute silence followed before a new clap of thunder shook the heavens. The storm's rhythm dictated its own rules, to which all living creatures in the vicinity submitted. Knowledge of the thunderers was passed down through songs and stories, which sounded particularly poignant on nights like these. The storyteller's voice mingled with the sound of the rain, creating a unique symphony of forest life and human culture. These stories told of times when people and the spirits of the elements lived in close union and understood one another. Belief in the supreme justice of the heavenly forces gave the Cherokee confidence in the future and the prosperity of the tribe. A thunderstorm was perceived as a necessary stage in the cycle of life, bringing moisture to the plants and purity to the souls. Respect for the power of the heavens was the foundation of their worldview and daily ethics. Lightning often struck the tall pines on the ridges, leaving distinctive marks of its touch on them. Trees that survived such an event were considered sacred and endowed with special magical power. Objects were crafted from their wood to protect warriors on campaigns and hunters in the forests. The Cherokee believed that the heavenly fire chose only the strongest and most worthy trees for its manifestation. This view of destructive power as a source of blessing was characteristic of their culture. A thunderstorm did not destroy, but redistributed power, giving rise to new life in place of the old forest. Gradually, fear gave way to curiosity, and anxiety gave way to deep aesthetic pleasure. People began to notice beauty in chaos, harmony in the noise, and light in the thickest darkness. The storm taught them to find inner strength when the outside world seemed unstable and threatening. This psychological exercise was an important part of fostering a strong character and an unshakable will. The Cherokee knew that after the fiercest storm, a clear morning always followed, full of freshness and new hope. This understanding of the cyclical nature of processes helped them maintain their composure in any situation. The night in the Appalachians continued, and the storm front slowly shifted toward the valley, leaving behind only the sound of the rain dying down. The voices of the thunderers grew fainter, turning into a distant rumble beyond the mountain passes. In the Cherokee home, the time for deep sleep was approaching, when consciousness finally relaxed to the steady whisper of raindrops on the bark. The experience of that night remained in their memory as an important reminder of the power and wisdom of the great outdoors. Everyone fell asleep with a sense of gratitude for shelter, warmth, and the opportunity to witness a heavenly mystery. The world once again sank into peace, preparing to meet the new day. I will reveal the most closely guarded secret that allowed the Cherokee to keep their fire burning even during the most violent floods and storms. Fire was considered a living being that required constant attention, care, and deep respect from every member of the family. At the center of the traditional dwelling was a sacred hearth that was never to go out completely throughout the entire year. During a thunderstorm, keeping the flame alive became a top priority, requiring special knowledge and skill. The smoke vent in the roof was designed so that rain could not directly douse the fire, even in strong winds. Dry firewood was stored in advance in sheltered places, so that the fire always had a good supply of fuel. Like this video if you appreciate the comfort of the hearth and the ancient traditions of our ancestors. The art of handling fire began with the right choice of wood, which provided steady heat and minimal sparks. For a nighttime fire during a thunderstorm, oak or hickory were often used, as they smoldered for a long time, maintaining the desired temperature. Thin pine kindling was used for quick ignition if the flame began to weaken due to high humidity. The hearth was lined with large stones that stored heat and released it throughout the night. This helped conserve fuel and maintain a comfortable microclimate inside the forest dwelling. Every family member knew their role in maintaining this vital source of energy. During heavy rain, moisture in the forest seeped everywhere, causing the wood to become heavy and resist burning. To address this problem, the Cherokee used special methods to dry the firewood right inside the house, near the edge of the hearth. The warm air gradually drew moisture from the fibers, preparing the fuel for use at the most critical moment. In response to this care, the fire gave off light that dispelled the thick shadows and created an atmosphere of safety. Flashes of lightning outside contrasted with the soft, golden glow inside the small house. This balance between the external elements and internal peace was the foundation of life in the mountains. The process of gathering firewood was an important part of the seasonal cycle and required a good knowledge of the Appalachian forest resources. Dry, fallen trees were collected on clear days and carefully sorted by species and wood quality. The very best pieces were set aside specifically for ritual purposes or for particularly harsh weather conditions. The Cherokee believed that a tree spirit lived in every log, which was released as heat and light during combustion. Gratitude to the forest for this gift was an integral part of their daily culture and spiritual practice. Careful stewardship of resources ensured the tribe's well-being for many generations. Cooking over an open fire during a thunderstorm required special skill and caution. Simple dishes made from corn, beans, and jerky acquired a unique flavor thanks to the aroma of forest smoke. Warm food helped maintain the body's internal heat and protect it against colds and damp weather. Pots made of fired clay heated slowly, preserving the nutritional value of the food and providing a long-lasting feeling of fullness. Sharing a meal together as a family strengthened social bonds and fostered a sense of unity in the face of external threats. Every kernel of corn was seen as a gift from the earth, for which one should give thanks. The light of the hearth helped people navigate the interior of their dwelling, preventing them from bumping into objects in complete darkness. It defined the boundaries of the inhabited world, beyond which lay the unfathomable and mysterious nighttime taiga. For the Cherokee, fire was a symbol of human reason and civilization, standing against the chaos of the wild. Keeping the flame alive was a metaphor for preserving culture and traditions in a changing and sometimes hostile environment. A rainy night became a time to test this inner strength and loyalty to one's roots. As long as the fire burned, life continued in its familiar and sacred rhythm. When the storm reached its peak, the fire in the hearth would sometimes begin to behave unusually, reacting to fluctuations in atmospheric pressure. The flames might suddenly change direction or emit strange sounds, like whispers or quiet singing. People believed that at such moments, the ancestors spoke through the fire, offering advice or warning of danger. Careful observation of these signs was part of the spiritual upbringing of every tribe member from an early age. The ability to interpret the behavior of the elements developed intuition and a deep understanding of the laws of the surrounding world. Fire remained a faithful ally to humans throughout their lives. By morning, when the rain had turned into a light drizzle, the fire in the hearth left behind a layer of hot ash. This ash was used for various household purposes, from cleaning dishes to fertilizing small fields near the settlements. The life cycle of the fire came to an end, only to begin again with the first rays of the sun or a new spark from flint. The sacred hearth continued its unseen work, maintaining the connection between times and generations in the Appalachian Mountains. The tradition of keeping the fire alive lived on in people's hearts, reminding them of the grandeur of their history and the wisdom of their ancestors. Each new day began with reverence for this eternal source of life. What I am about to show you is forbidden in many modern notions of comfort, but it is precisely this that gave the Cherokee a true sense of life. A stormy night in the mountains is not just the sound of rain and the rumble of thunder, but a complex symphony of sounds that come alive in the darkness. When raindrops strike the foliage of different trees, unique acoustic patterns emerge. The smooth leaves of the magnolia sound different from the needles of centuries-old pines or the rough bark of oaks. The ear of a person accustomed to the silence of the forest is capable of distinguishing the subtlest nuances of this heavenly music. Every gust of wind brings its own notes, causing the forest thickets to sing in different voices. Do you think modern people are capable of appreciating the beauty of natural sounds without the use of electronics? In the next chapter, you will learn how the ancient inhabitants of the mountains used air humidity to predict the harvest. The sound of water flowing down the hillsides creates a background noise reminiscent of the rustle of silk. Small streams turn into rushing torrents that roll stones along the bottom of their beds with a roar. Inside a Cherokee dwelling, this rumble is heard as a deep bass, resonating with the foundation of the house. Water fills the valleys with life, promising lush grass for game and rich soil for the fields. The rhythm of falling drops gradually synchronizes with the human pulse, inducing a state of deep relaxation. Nature itself conducts this orchestra, requiring no participation from the audience. The acoustics inside a traditional Cherokee dwelling were designed to amplify pleasant sounds and muffle harsh ones. The dome of the roof acted as a natural resonator, making the whisper of raindrops on the bark soft and full-bodied. This created the sensation that one was inside the music itself, an integral part of it. Conversations on such a night were held in hushed tones so as not to disturb the overall harmony of the moment. Every word took on added weight and significance against the backdrop of nature's majestic sounds. The night silence of the forest was never absolute. It was always filled with meaning. The humid air alters the way sound travels, making it denser and richer. Distant sounds seem closer, while nearby ones take on a new depth and clarity of perception. This heightened sensitivity helps a person better orient themselves in space, even if their eyes cannot see anything. The Cherokee developed this skill from early childhood, learning to understand the language of the forest in all its manifestations. A thunderstorm was an excellent teacher, forcing them to make the most of all the body's natural abilities. Hearing became the primary tool for interacting with the surrounding world during a nighttime storm. The art of listening to the forest was one of the highest virtues in the culture of the Native Americans of this region. It required patience, humility, and the ability to silence one's own inner dialogue. A thunderstorm provided ideal conditions for practicing this skill, drowning out all human sounds with its majesty. Those who knew how to listen never felt lost or frightened in the wilderness. The sounds of the Appalachians were a familiar map to them, pointing the way to inner harmony and an understanding of their place in the world. This connection through sound was one of the strongest threads binding a person to their land. The morning after such a night always brought a special silence, filled with freshness and purity. Birds began their first songs in the rain-washed forest, adding new vivid colors to the overall soundscape. People emerged from their homes, feeling renewed and ready for new achievements. The memory of the night's symphony remained with them, giving them the strength to cope with everyday difficulties. Every new storm was seen as an opportunity to hear the great music of the mountains and forests once more. The Appalachians continued their endless song, and people remained its devoted and attentive listeners. In the center of the Cherokee forest dwelling, time seemed to slow its pace, submitting to the rhythms of ancient traditions. The family, gathered under the protection of a sturdy roof, formed a single, harmonious entity. Every member of this small community knew their place and their duties toward the others. On nights like these, social bonds were strengthened through the shared experience of the grandeur of the surrounding nature. The absence of external distractions allowed them to focus on their inner world and their loved ones. The shared roof and the warmth of the hearth created a unique atmosphere of trust and security. The elders played a key role in maintaining morale and passing on life experience to younger generations. Their calmness and confidence spread to everyone else, turning a potentially frightening situation into a lesson in courage. Stories about ancestors who had also weathered similar storms created a sense of historical continuity. The Cherokee believed that their home was a model of the universe, where every element had its own sacred meaning. The top of the dome symbolized the sky, and the floor symbolized the fertile earth that gave life. Humans stood in the middle, connecting these two worlds through their labor and prayers. The Cherokee worldview rejected the idea of human domination over nature, favoring instead a concept of partnership and balance. The house was built in harmony with the natural contours of the landscape without disrupting the forest's harmony. The use of natural materials allowed the dwelling to eventually return to the earth, leaving no harmful traces behind. Every morning began with a ritual of gratitude for the night that had passed and the rising sun. The water from the streams, swollen after the rain, was considered especially pure and healing at this hour. People washed their faces with it, rinsing away the remnants of sleep and preparing themselves for a productive day in the forest or in the fields. The house opened its doors once more, letting in the fresh air and the sounds of the Appalachian wilderness awakening. The family went about their business, feeling the reliable support of their traditions and their home behind them. The bond between people, forged during the stormy night, grew even stronger and more reliable. Each family's history was inscribed into the mountain landscape, to the places they inhabited and the trails they walked. The home was not only a physical refuge, but also a repository of memories of past generations. Heirlooms served as reminders of the craftsmanship and wisdom of those who had lived there before. The storm was just one of many events that shaped this rich and multifaceted culture. The ability to maintain unity and calm in all circumstances was the main secret to the longevity of the Cherokee people. Under the roof of their home, peace always reigned, founded on love and deep mutual respect. As we conclude this account of life within the forest refuge, it is worth noting the depth of their understanding of human nature. They knew that true happiness does not depend on external riches, but is born of harmony with oneself and the world. A thunderstorm in the Appalachians was not merely a weather phenomenon to them, but a sacred dance of life. A rainy night gave them the opportunity to reaffirm the rightness of their path and the strength of their spirit. The memory of these moments of unity under the dome is carefully preserved in legends and in the hearts of their descendants. Life goes on, carrying within it a spark of that very ancient fire that warmed them in the distant past. What researchers of Southeastern Native American culture found in old archives is striking in its ingenuity and practicality. Traditional Cherokee homes were not merely temporary huts, but complex structures adapted to the mountain's changeable climate. To protect against torrential rains, a multi-layered roofing system was used, where each layer served a specific purpose. An internal frame of flexible poles provided the necessary shock absorption during strong gusts of wind, preventing the entire structure from collapsing. The outer bark cladding reliably drained water, directing it along natural channels away from the foundation. What elements of ancient architecture do you think could improve modern, eco-friendly homes? In the next chapter, you'll learn how the Apache coped with terrible weather by using the secrets of invisibility. This prevented precipitation from entering and eliminated backdrafts that could fill the room with smoke. As the smoke rose, it created a natural barrier against the cold seeping in from above through the ventilation. The Cherokee masterfully controlled air currents, creating an ideal microclimate for rest and daily activities. The wisdom of their ancestors allowed them to live in complete harmony with the laws of physics and nature. Using bark as a roofing material required a deep understanding of botany and forestry. The bark of certain trees possessed natural antiseptic properties, which prevented rot and mold growth in a humid climate. It was also flexible enough to take the shape of a dome and rigid enough to withstand the weight of snow in winter. The method of overlapping the bark strips prevented leaks even during the heaviest tropical downpours. With proper care, such a roof could serve a family for many years without needing replacement. Cherokee architecture represented the pinnacle of the rational use of the region's natural resources. The floor inside the house was raised above ground level, creating an additional air gap and protecting against dampness. It was carefully tamped down and covered with layers of dry grass, pine needles, and soft mats, creating a comfortable surface for walking and resting. Storage spaces for tools and food supplies were built directly into the walls or located under the sleeping platforms. This allowed for the most efficient use of every square meter of living space. Order inside the house was considered a sign of discipline and respect for one's living space. Every item had its strictly designated place, making daily life easier in conditions of limited lighting. Over time, Cherokee architecture underwent changes influenced by new technologies, but the basic principles remained unchanged. Respect for materials, the landscape, and the needs of the family continued to shape the appearance of their settlements in the Appalachians. Even today, researchers find evidence of their high level of craftsmanship in the ruins of ancient dwellings. The experience of past generations serves as a reminder that true comfort is achieved through understanding and cooperation with nature. The history of forest comfort architecture is an important chapter in the chronicle of human civilization. After a downpour, the air in the Appalachians fills with rich, healing scents that the Cherokee used to promote health. The damp earth and wet tree bark release essential oils with antiseptic and soothing properties. The scent of wild mint, pine, and damp moss created a natural inhalation therapy for all residents of the forest settlement. People breathed in this rich air deeply, feeling their lungs clear and their minds sharpen after a long night. Many plants, such as golden seal or wild ginger, revealed their full aromatic potential precisely after heavy rainfall. Traditional Cherokee medicine was based on a deep understanding of these natural processes and their impact on the human body. The gathering of medicinal herbs often took place in the morning hours after a thunderstorm, when the plants were most saturated with moisture. It was believed that water washed away dust and negative energy from the leaves, leaving only the pure power of the earth. The Cherokee knew thousands of plant species and their uses for treating various ailments, from colds to complex injuries. Knowledge was passed down from mothers to daughters during walks through the forest and while preparing healing decoctions. Respect for plants was expressed by never gathering more than was necessary for current needs. Each plant was considered a gift from higher powers, deserving of gratitude and careful treatment. Flowering shrubs such as rhododendrons or mountain laurel filled the valleys with sweet and delicate scents during their blooming season. After rain, their fragrance became less cloying and fresher, creating an atmosphere of celebration and renewal. People rejoiced in these periods, perceiving them as a symbol of their region's prosperity and beauty. Bees and other insects became active immediately after the storm ended, adding the sound of their busy buzzing to the scents. The entire forest came to life, celebrating the end of the storm and the arrival of clear skies. Life continued in all its diversity and splendor of colors and scents. The cleansing power of rain was perceived by the Cherokee not only physically, but also spiritually. Bathing in forest streams after a thunderstorm was an important ritual that washed away fatigue and brought vitality to the spirit. The cold, clear water, rich in mountain minerals, gave the skin freshness and health. People felt themselves part of the great cycle of water in nature, returning to their tasks with renewed strength. The sense of the damp forest accompanied them throughout the day, reminding them of the night's renewal. The world around them seemed brighter and clearer after the sky had poured out its life-giving waters. In concluding this chapter on scents, it is important to emphasize the inseparable link between physical health and the state of the environment. For the Cherokee, the forest was a single, living organism in which humans occupied a modest yet vital place. Caring for nature was caring for oneself and future generations, ensuring the preservation of all the region's riches. The scents of the damp forest are just one of many manifestations of this great love and respect. May every clap of thunder and every raindrop remind us of the value of clean air and a healthy earth. The world of the Appalachians continues to bloom and smell, inviting us to touch its eternal mystery. The state of tranquility that follows a violent storm held deep psychological and therapeutic significance for the Cherokee. In a culture where attention to the inner world was as important as physical strength, such moments were especially highly valued. The silence of the forest after a storm was not emptiness, but was perceived as a space filled with meaning for reflection. People learned to find answers to life's complex questions and ways to resolve conflicts in this silence. The absence of external noise allowed them to hear their own inner voice and attune themselves to harmony with the world. The ability to maintain inner calm in any circumstance was considered a sign of maturity and wisdom. A thunderstorm served as a kind of catharsis, washing away the accumulated tension and minor anxieties of everyday life. The roar of the elements drowned out human voices, forcing people to spend more time in silent contemplation. This enforced solitude within one's own home helped strengthen family bonds through the shared experience of the moment. When the storm subsided, it was time for gentle conversation and the exchange of brief but meaningful phrases. Psychological comfort was rooted in a sense of security and the predictability of nature's laws. Everyone understood that darkness is always followed by light, and a storm by long-awaited peace. A thunderstorm served as an excellent training ground for practicing these skills in real-life conditions. Psychological training began in early childhood and continued into old age under the guidance of experienced mentors. As a result, the people possessed exceptional mental resilience and a strong capacity for survival. Traditional methods of psychotherapy included not only conversations with elders, but also ritual dances, songs, and working with natural materials. Creativity was considered an important way to express emotions and relieve inner tension. Creating beautiful objects from wood, clay, or stone helped a person focus and find inner balance. After rain, work went more smoothly, as the mind was free from unnecessary worries and full of fresh ideas. Art was an integral part of life, making it richer and more vibrant even in the harsh conditions of the mountains. Cherokee psychology was focused on creating and sustaining beauty in all its forms. As we conclude our reflections on silence and tranquility, it is worth noting their universal value for every person, regardless of the era. The Cherokee experience teaches us the importance of slowing down and paying attention to our own state of being in a world full of noise and chaos. A thunderstorm in the Appalachians is a reminder that true strength is born in silence and the calm acceptance of the inevitable. May each of us find our own inner home capable of sheltering us from life's storms. The wisdom of our ancestors continues to light our path, offering hope and deep peace. The world around us is full of quiet revelations, ready to reveal themselves to those who know how to listen. When darkness finally enveloped the Appalachian forests and the rain turned into a monotonous whisper, the world was filled with the invisible presence of the night watchers. The Cherokee believe that the mountains never sleep, and at night they are guarded by special spirits who watch over order and justice. Flashes of lightning on the horizon were considered the gazes of these beings, piercing through the thickest veil of clouds. At such hours, the home was perceived as a sacred space, protected not only by bark and clay, but also by the invisible power of prayers and traditions. People felt themselves to be part of a vast and complex system where every creature had its own role and purpose. Their attitude toward the night was one of reverence and caution, without undue curiosity about the mysteries of the dark forest. Legends told of ancient warriors whose spirits continued to patrol the trails and mountain passes on stormy nights. Their presence gave the inhabitants of the settlements a sense of security, reminding them of the continuity of generations and loyalty to duty. The Cherokee believed that their ancestors were always nearby, offering advice in difficult times or warning of danger through the signs of nature. The interior atmosphere of the home at night encouraged a focus on the spiritual aspects of life. The dim light of the embers in the hearth created an atmosphere ideal for quiet reflection and prayers for the well-being of loved ones. The Cherokee believed that sincere thoughts on a stormy night possessed special power and were capable of reaching the highest heavenly realms. This time was used for inner purification and setting new goals in life. In their view, the mountain spirits favored those who sought purity of heart and clarity of thought. Personal accountability to the invisible guardians was an important incentive for moral self-improvement. The night guardians were also associated with protecting hunting grounds and sources of clean water from desecration and depletion. The Cherokee knew that nature could be harsh toward those who took more than they needed or treated the earth without due respect. A thunderstorm served as a reminder of the power of the elements and the need to maintain ecological balance. Every tree and every stone was believed to possess a spirit that demanded careful and respectful treatment. This worldview allowed Native Americans to live in prosperity without destroying the foundation of their existence. The mountain spirits were the guarantors of this eternal covenant between humanity and nature. As we conclude this chapter on spirits and guardians, it is worth remembering that true magic lies in our ability to see wonder in everyday things. For the Cherokee, every thunderstorm was a miracle, and every home was a temple of life. Their wisdom teaches us to cherish every moment and find support in our roots and traditions. A night in the mountains is not the end of the day, but the beginning of a new phase of inner growth and understanding. May every clap of thunder remind us of the grandeur of our world and our responsibility for it. We are always under the watchful eye of those who were here before us and those who will come after. The first rays of the sun, breaking through the damp mist over the Appalachians, marked the beginning of a new day and the end of the night storm. The air, washed clean by the storm, was clear and incredibly fresh, filled with the sense of wet pine needles and awakening earth. Birds began their first songs, creating a joyful backdrop for the morning activities of the forest settlement's inhabitants. The Cherokee emerged from their dwellings, feeling a surge of vigor and a readiness for active labor for the benefit of their families and the tribe. The world around them seemed brighter and clearer, as if nature itself had renewed its colors and forms after a long rain. Every morning after a storm was perceived as a gift, a symbol of the victory of life and light over darkness and chaos. The ritual of greeting the sun was an important part of the Cherokees' daily culture, connecting them to the higher powers of the universe. Washing in the nearest stream, filled with fresh rainwater, gave the body energy and washed away the remnants of nighttime musings. People thanked the earth for the shelter and warmth that had helped them weather the storm in comfort and safety. Traditional activities, checking the crops, gathering forest gifts, or repairing tools, began with a special sense of enthusiasm. The thunderstorm had brought much-needed moisture that would ensure a good harvest and the community's prosperity in the future. Optimism and self-confidence were characteristic of this hardworking and wise people. The landscape was transformed after the rain, revealing new details and highlighting the grandeur of the mountain ranges and valleys. Small waterfalls, temporarily formed on the slopes, sparkled in the sun, reminding them of the inexhaustible power of the heavenly waters. The Cherokee carefully surveyed the surroundings, noting changes in the forest and the condition of the trails after the strong wind. Caring for their territory was a natural necessity, ensuring long-term survival and comfort. Interaction with nature was based on a deep understanding of its cycles and respect for its laws. Every human action was aimed at maintaining harmony and balance in their homeland. Working in the fields after the rain required attention and diligence, but brought joy from the awareness of a bountiful harvest approaching. Corn, beans, and squash, the three sisters of Cherokee agriculture, stretched toward the sun, nourished by the rain. People carefully weeded the beds, ensuring that weeds did not hinder the growth of cultivated plants. The farmer's labor was considered honorable and sacred, ensuring food security for the entire community. Thunderstorms were an important ally in this endeavor, sparing people the need for manual watering during the hot summer months. Gratitude to the heavens for timely assistance was sincere and profound. Hunters also prepared to head into the forest, knowing that after rain, animal tracks become more visible on soft ground. The freshness of the air and the absence of dust helped them better detect scents and hear sounds from the forest depths over long distances. Equipment was carefully checked, and bows and arrows were brought into perfect condition for a successful hunt. For the Cherokee, hunting was not only a means of obtaining food, but also an important spiritual test, requiring honesty and respect for the game. Every successful trip into the forest ended with a ritual of gratitude to the spirit of the animal for its sacrifice for the sake of human life. The balance between consumption and conservation of resources was the foundation of their environmental ethics. In the evening, as the sun began to set, the Cherokee settlement was enveloped in an atmosphere of calm satisfaction with the day that had passed. The results of their labor were evident, and the new plans were clear and understandable to every member of the community. The thunderstorm that had occurred the day before remained in their memory as a vivid and beneficial event that strengthened the bond between people and their land. People gathered around campfires, sharing stories and songs that celebrated the grandeur of the mountains and the wisdom of their ancestors. Life in the Appalachians continued in its eternal and beautiful rhythm, full of meaning and deep inner peace. Everyone felt at home, part of a great and indivisible whole. Cherokee traditions, rooted in the perception of nature and life in the forest, continue to inspire people today. Their experience teaches us to appreciate simple things and find joy in every manifestation of the world around us. The storm over the wigwam is a symbol of resilience, comfort, and profound wisdom, accessible to anyone willing to open their heart. May the morning sun always bring us hope and strength for new achievements on our path. We are grateful for the opportunity to touch this amazing story and feel its living breath. The world of the Appalachian mountains and forests always awaits those who come to it with peace and love. As we conclude our journey into the Cherokee night under the rain, we carry with us a piece of their calm and confidence. Life is beautiful in its changeability and constancy, just like the very nature of this amazing land. May that same ancient fire always burn in each of our homes, warming our hearts and lighting the path to the future. We remember the lessons of the past to build a harmonious and happy present for all of us. The night has passed, the morning has come, and ahead of us lies an endless ocean of new possibilities and discoveries. Thank you for joining us on this journey, delving into the depths of history and the human spirit. Do you think modern architecture could draw useful ideas from the design of traditional Cherokee homes to create more eco-friendly housing? We'd love to hear your thoughts on which elements of ancient lifestyles help people better cope with stress and find inner balance in our noisy world. Please suggest topics in the comments for future videos that you'd like to see on our channel. Perhaps you're interested in the survival secrets of other tribes or the construction techniques of ancient civilizations. Thank you for watching this atmospheric episode, and we hope it brought you a sense of peace and inspiration. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new, exciting stories about the lives and traditions of the indigenous peoples of North America.